Welcome, welcome to my English online class, dear students. First, I would like to introduce myself to you. I am Mohammad Abdul Qadir, assistant teacher, Jaipur BL High School, Nawabganj, Dinajpur. Now we are passing a very critical situation because of coronavirus, but situation may be different types, whether may be the situation, but we have to try our best to survive. We have to try our best to keep us fit. Considering this, our government has taken some steps to continue our education process through online, which has been possible with the help of technology. So especially I would like to thank the online, especially I would like to thank the online sector, the authority of ICT sector, the learners. For a long time, all of you are out of classroom activities. So our little attempt to give you some advice, give you some rules, give you some process of education. I welcome you to my today's online class. Today I am going to discuss some rules of transformation of sentence. Before going to discussion, I would like to give you the definition of transformation. Transformation means the formation or changing of sentences or the changing of formation of sentences without changing the meaning of the sentence. The sentence pattern will be changed. Here, the meaning will be unchanged. Dear learners, transformation sentence is the sentence which will be changed according to direction. Their structure will be changed, but their meaning will be unchanged. And we know there are three types of sentences according to structure. Today I am going to discuss the transformation of sentence according to structure: simple, complex and compound. Simple, complex and compound. Before going to discuss, I would like to give some information about simple, complex and compound sentence. What is simple sentence? Dear learners, try to understand what is simple sentence. I hope you have all understood, because this are included from 9 to 10. So I hope you are familiar with simple sentence. I want to add something to your understanding. I would like to give you the definition of simple sentence. What is simple sentence? The learner, simple sentence is a sentence that contains one subject and one finite verb. The sentence which contains one subject and one finite verb is a simple sentence. I hope you know it. Then complex sentence. Complex sentence is a sentence that contains one principal clause and one or more subordinate clause or clauses. Complex sentence has more than one subordinate clause or clauses, but there must be one principal clause. So, complex sentence is a sentence that has one principal clause and one or more subordinate clause or clauses, and the subordinate clause will begin with subordinating conjunction. And the last type of sentence, compound sentence, the sentence which has more than one principal clause or coordinate clause, and the clauses will be combined by coordinating conjunction. So, compound sentence is a sentence that has one or more, two or more principal clauses or coordinate clauses, and the clauses will be combined by coordinating conjunction. Dear learners, today I am going to transform sentences from complex to compound. Look at the whiteboard. I would like to write down here a complex sentence. Since he was ill, he could not eat 3 times. Since he was ill, he could not eat 3 times. This is a complex sentence. Dear learners, you may ask me why it is a complex sentence. I will try my best to identify, to help you to understand why it is a complex sentence. It is a complex sentence because there are 2 clauses. He was poor. This is a clause, and there is another clause also. He could not eat 3 times. These 2 clauses are combined by a subordinating conjunction. Since is a subordinating conjunction. So, dear learners, this is a complex sentence because there is a subordinating conjunction, and I have already mentioned that subordinating conjunction is set or placed before a subordinate clause. So, he is poor, it is a subordinate clause, and the clause which is free from subordinating conjunction is principal clause. So, he could not eat 3 times is a principal clause. So, I hope all of you are clear about the sentence, complex sentence, because there is a principal clause, he could not eat 3 times, and there is also a subordinate clause, he was poor, and the subordinate clause begins with subordinating conjunction since. So, there is no any uncertainty about the identification of complex sentence. This is a complex sentence, and the sentence indicates cause and effect, cause and action. This clause, the subordinate clause, is the cause of the action of principal clause. The subordinate clause caused the action of the verb of principal clause. Since he was poor, this is why he could not eat 3 times. What is the compound sentence of this sentence? If the complex sentence begins with subordinating conjunction, since or as, how can we make it compound? If the sentence begins with since or as, how can we make it compound? Dear learners, this is very easy. Please look at and try to understand. First, you have to omit since or as then you have to write the clause. He was poor. After the clause, you have to write and. Here I have written and. Then the principal clause you will have to write. He was poor and he could not eat 3 times. This is the compound sentence of the complex one. Here there is some little bit difference. The subordinating conjunction must be omitted from the complex sentence. Subordinating conjunction must be omitted, then the clause must be written. After the clause, you will have to write and then the principal clause must be written. And in this way, we can make the complex sentence into a compound one. If the sentence is combined by subordinating conjunction since or as. Dear learners, now let's move to another example. When he was 4, he came here. Here there is a subordinating conjunction when, and the subordinate clause is he was 4. There is another clause, he came here. This is a principal clause. This is subordinate clause, this is principal clause. If the subordinate clause is at the beginning, then how can we make it compound? First you have to omit the subordinating conjunction and then you have to write the subordinate clause and in place of comma you have to write and then the other part. Dear learners, if the subordinate clause is at the end of the sentence, then the subordinate clause will be turned at the beginning and the subordinating conjunction must be omitted, then the clause, and in the middle of the two clause you will have to write and then the other clause. In this way you can make a complex sentence when the complex sentence is combined by subordinating conjunction since or when. In this way you can make it compound one. Dear learners, now let's move to another rules. This is also a complex sentence because there are two clauses. He was poor and he was happy. These two clause and these two clauses are combined by a subordinating conjunction though. So dear learners, though he was poor, this is subordinate clause and the principal clause is he was happy. PC and SC. This is subordinate clause and this is principal clause. We know At the time of making compound sentence, you have to understand what is complex sentence, what is complex sentence, and what is the subordinate clause. You can sense only the subordinate clause, but you cannot sense the principal clause. So first you have to understand what is subordinate clause. Here you can understand that though he was poor is a subordinate clause, because I have already mentioned that subordinate clause begins with a subordinate conjunction. As there is a subordinate conjunction though, so though he was poor is a subordinate clause, and this clause must be sensed, but he was poor, he was happy will not be sensed. And how can we make it compound? If the sentence begins with though, if the subordinate conjunction is though, how can we make it compound one? This is just like the rule what I have mentioned before, but there is a little bit difference. What I have mentioned before, there was subordinate conjunction since as when, but there is though. In the case of though must be omitted, then the clause, and in place of comma we have to use but. Then the other part of the clause, the PC, principal clause. The learners here, he was, can be omitted because the same verb and same subject may be omitted after but or and coordinating conjunction. So we can omit he was because there is he was and also there is he was. This he was can be omitted. Dear learners, now let's move to another sentence. If you read, you will pass. This is also a complex sentence. If you read, you will pass. This is also a complex sentence because there are two clauses. You read and you will pass. And this is subordinate clause because the clause begins with subordinate conjunction if. And dear learners, you have to understand how can we make it compound one. Dear learners, I have already mentioned that in case of making compound sentence, the subordinate clause must be sensed, but the principal clause will not be sensed. Here the subordinate clause is if you read. So our target will be at the subordinate clause. Here the subordinating conjunction if must be omitted. And subject you, second person, also must be omitted. So you have to write the verb read, and in place of comma you will have to write and. Then the principal clause will be written. So the compound one is read and you will pass. Dear learners, I hope all of you have understood what I have tried for you for your better understanding. Dear learners, as you are out of classroom activities because of coronavirus, so all of you are most welcome to my online class, and I also request you to tell your friend to connect with my online class. Keep practicing, stay at home and remain safe. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you too. Toin. শেষ করে দিচ্ছি আসো কমপ্লিট করে 5 মিনিট 20 মিনিট আছে